welcome to another episode of your Ali Show, and today we have a very special guest, professional MMA fighter, fighting in the UFC, Mr. Kai Kara France.
Hey, bro.
How are you, Kai?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How you been?
Not too bad, not too bad. What about yourself? How's your day been, brother?
No, it's been good. Busy as always, getting ready to have a baby and everything that comes with it. So, ticking off all the boxes before Christmas.
That's it.
And then, trying to finish this year with as much as we can. So, I'm feeling good though.
Yeah, I was looking as I came into, we're actually at Kai's beautiful home here. And as I was walking in, you start to see some of the baby stuff and all that, ready, the strollers, the car seats and all that sort of stuff.
Bro,
so yeah, I'm sure you're pretty excited. We'll get on to that in a second. But anyway, Kai, for most of our listeners or people who are watching the video probably already know who you are. But for those who don't, could you just give a brief introduction about yourself, brother?
Yeah, so Kai Kara France, UFC fighter, ranked number 7 in the world in the Flyweight division. One of the 7 UFC fighters fighting out of City Kickboxing. And I've been in it since 2018. That's when I made my UFC debut. New Zealand based now, was Thailand trained at the start of my career. Now full time at City Kickboxing, homegrown. It's awesome to kind of get that knowledge from overseas, bring it back home, and now we can it shows that this gym's the best in the world, and the reason why it is because of everyone's collective input, and with all led by Eugene Behrman. So it's a little bit about my story. I'm sure we'll get into how I started.
Anyway, Kai, I want to ask you, when and how did you get into fighting?
Yeah, so I started when I was 10 years old. I started in jiu-jitsu. My friend that was doing jiu-jitsu told me to come down to the kids' classes. So that was on a Sunday, and this was at Strikeforce back in when the gym was next in Avondale, next to the cinema.
Wow.
So I went down to a Sunday session and then enjoyed it, and then I just keep coming. And then my coach was Carl Weber at the time. I went for like 2 years, and then I stopped, and then start of high school, third form, smallest in my class, used to get bullied just because of my size. And then my parents got me into martial arts again to kind of install confidence in myself. And that's when I went back down to Strikeforce, and this time it was run by Aaron Boys. And so I went back down to the gym, and taught me all these things that I needed to learn as a young man. All these tools that martial arts gives you.
So it's expanded, like not just jiu-jitsu, then you were doing like
so I was doing everything then. So I was doing kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and I had my first fight when I was 15, my first amateur fight.
Wow.
I lost, but for me it wasn't just about the winning a fight. It was the journey just to get into the ring. So many obstacles and personal growth just to get in the ring. And I love the feeling of performing in front of your friends and family, and showing them all the hard work you've done in the gym. And it didn't go my way, but I knew that this is what I wanted to do.
It's that adrenaline as well, when you making that ring walk, just getting out there, like at that moment, it's like, oh yeah, it's happening now.
It's time, everything's like thrown at you, and you just got to deal with it, And if you've never been in a fight before, and I never had been, I didn't know how I was going to react. So I think it's important for anyone to go through, a boxing fight or an MMA fight, just to kind of see what they will do and how they will react, and this will change your life. So it changed mine.
It's not only about that, like it's also like learning to overcome how when all of that kind of flows at that moment, and how do you deal with it? Like, exactly. What do you do? It's quite interesting. I think. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. It's quite interesting. I think might have been yesterday. I was just scrolling through Instagram, and there was an ad on the Wim to Warrior ad, and you were giving that talk on there as well. It sounded pretty similar there. I was gonna say something.
Yeah, I've got it all down pat now. If people want to give me a little talk about the journey that I'm on, but yeah, it will change your life. And I know a lot of people that have done that Wimp to Warriors course. A lot of good friends of mine that were a bit reluctant to join, and I just said, hey, can you put a price on happiness and where you want to be in life? And I know it's a bit of money to do the course, but honestly, it will change your life. And after they did the course and they saw the rewards that they got from it, you know, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, they said, you know, thank you for actually telling me to commit to this, because I can't see myself doing anything else but this now, and I don't know how it took me so long to do it. So it was awesome to get that feedback, and I knew that would happen, because it's just what happens at when you choose this path and this journey. And it, you know, the UFC is not everyone's ultimate goal. It's just to be a better person and to better your life. So yeah, it's awesome to see.
Did you ever think that you would be where you were today, like when you were younger? You know, when your teenage years. Did you ever see this?
You know, it was such a massive dream of mine, but I didn't. I wasn't looking at the bigger picture. Oh, so I was looking at the bigger picture. I wasn't looking at, you know, the end result, which was to make the UFC. I was just gonna see how far I can push it and how far I can take it. And it's just how it happens. The people that are the most consistent are the ones that are gonna eventually, you know, make it to those the big leagues and take the next step to the to where you want to be. So, but looking back, you know, when I used to get bullied, being so vulnerable, being so kind of lost. And now I do this as a full-time job, you know, fighting on the biggest stage in the world, ranked number 7 in the world, and fighting only the best. So it's pretty crazy and pretty surreal, but you know, I've definitely earned my spot and where I am today. And it doesn't come with hard work, you know. If people come up to me now and saying, would you do it again? You know, it takes 10 years. It took me 10 years to get to the UFC, and it's all a part of the journey, you know, the ups and downs and the highs and lows, all the losses that you take, all the learning curves. But that's what it's all for. When you make make it in the big leagues and in the UFC, you're not overwhelmed by the level or shocked by the talent. You're more than ready. Yeah.
That's the hard one. Is that everybody wants to get there, but they don't want to go through the process. You know, the grind, the process, the amount of time it takes, the work you need to put in. Like, it's one thing to say and to, like, you know, kind of have a plan, but like the other one is actually going through that plan.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's you know, that's where you'll see a lot of people start to fall off as well. But yeah, man, like, you know, you've obviously had like a lot of challenges in your life. I've listened to some of your podcasts and a couple of your talks as well, and I've heard quite a bit. So it's pretty interesting, man. I just want to get about like so when did you actually? Because I understand you went over to Thailand.
Yep.
You lived there, trained, and you know, at Tiger Muay Thai, which is you know, becoming a very popular gym as well. You know. Well, after City Kickboxing maybe, but you know, how was that whole experience over there?
Yeah, so to lead up to why I moved to Thailand, I was at university. I'd had a few pro fights. I'd fought in the show called Legend FC, which they're based in Hong Kong, and they have shows in Malaysia as well. So yeah, I had a few professional fights, but I was at uni. My head wasn't in the books. You know, I wanted to be in the gym, just training. That's what I wanted to do. So I told my parents, you know, this isn't for me. I don't want to be at university. And it was a hard thing for me to kind of say, because my whole family's academic. You know, my brother's a lawyer, my dad's a lawyer.
Wow. Family or lawyers, that's got to be hard, brother.
Yeah, my other brother's a sports journalist, you know, so much pressure on me to, and I was in a position where I was kind of a dark horse, you know. I didn't want to let my family down, and but they knew that I was passionate about what I wanted to do, and that's why they gave me their full support, because they knew that whatever I was passionate at, if I wanted to do it, I would eventually get there. So they said, you know, follow your dreams, do it while you're young, and don't look back. So yeah, I dropped out of university. I was studying a bachelor in sport, and I sent in my application to Tiger Muay Thai because they were looking for fighters for their fight team, and they were doing tryouts. So I sent over my application and I got accepted. So there was 30 of us from around the world that all got invitations to try out, and I went over a month early. So I wanted to get used to the heat and get meet all the people there and just kind of get comfortable before the actual 2-day tryout. And that's probably the best thing I could have done because it was so hot. My first time overseas on my own.
Yeah.
I've been overseas to fight, but not by myself.
Yeah.
And just being out of the comforts of home, living in a fan room. And if you've been to Thailand or Southeast Asia, if you're in a fan room, it's rough, man. And I was just sweating all night, bro. Like you'd be finished training and you'd showered, but you'd still be drenched.
Still sweating, yeah.
And it was a massive learning curve just to like when I was in that situation. Like obviously everyone's in that situation over there, but at the time I was like, this is I want to do this for something. I'm in this situation where I'm away from my friends and family. I'm out of the comforts of my home, but what I'm doing right now, I'm sacrificing all of that, but it's going to be for something. So I always had that drive and that fire, which I guess all the coaches saw that. I was 10 years younger than most people that were doing the tryouts.
Oh.
Pretty much just a kid, just hungry and just keen to learn and trying to be in a sponge and attain as much knowledge as I could from everyone that was there. So over the 2 days, I did a Muay Thai, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, a conditioning session, and then like this big run that you had to do up the Big Buddha, which is this massive mountain. So that was the last workout. So I ended up getting a unanimous decision for the fight team. I was the last pick, but everyone knew that I was going to be put in. But yeah, it changed my life. I was based in Thailand for 4 years after that. So every year,
4 years.
Yeah. So this was the first tryout they ever did for Tiger Muay Thai, and I was a part of the team for the 4 years. So every year they had a new tryout, but I just stayed over for the next year, and just kind of eventually, it was 4 years later. But it was an amazing experience. Met so many cool people, so many good friends that I'm still good friends with now. Fought in so many amazing, countries, and amazing experience. So that definitely kickstarted to where I needed to be. But eventually, a great lifestyle, living in Thailand and Phuket, close to the beach. You train twice a day. You just pretty much just wake up, eat, sleep, train, repeat. That's all you do. And I was fighting in another country every month. I was fighting Muay Thai, fighting boxing, doing jiu-jitsu comps. So just pretty much immersed myself in the martial arts
getting
lifestyle.
Involved, staying active, and all that as well.
Yeah.
One thing I want to ask about, like, what about like living expenses, bro? So were you be able to make a good income from this, like, fights? Obviously it's not like big fights and stuff like that, but to support yourself over there.
Yeah. So winning the scholarship for Tiger Muay Thai, you had free accommodation for a year, free food, and free training, and like all the things that come off it. The training gear and just that network to be in that social hub where you're so connected to everyone in Asia. You just meet so many people, and I was managing myself at the time. I'd meet people, fight on their show, and then I would meet some more people, and I'd be like, hey, if you want to fight, give me your contacts, and I'll set it up. And bro, it was the Wild West back then. I was doing visa runs as well as just fights. So if injured or not, I would have to leave because I'd have to,
90 days,
something like that. Yeah, I think it was like a 3-month visa I had every time. And back then I was doing that because I couldn't afford the year long visa and all that stuff because you're not making much money back then. Pretty much just to live the lifestyle. So you just had to be smart with your money, and if your funds were getting low, it's time to fight again. So it's just what I had to do, and it was a great experience. Like it put me in the right direction to where I wanted to be. Like I was really like pretty much all in, where I was fighting to put food on the table, and I knew a lot of people would want to be in my position, but I didn't take it for granted. I just wanted to make the most of being there, and I wasn't distracted. But Phuket's quite
a party town.
It's a party town, and there's a lot of distractions there. But I was never really pulled into that. I wasn't tempted. I know a lot of people would go off off the rails, and you wouldn't see them for months. But
yeah, they go on a partying spree and like all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I was always pretty one-track minded. I knew why I was there and what I wanted to do, and that wasn't helping me. So I always kind of stayed grounded and stayed in the gym. And
if it's not useful, it doesn't help me, I'm not gonna get involved.
Yeah,
with it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I knew like I had fights coming up, and it's not a time to celebrate. I'm here to change my life. So that was the mindset I've had right from the start. I'm here to get to the bigger goal, which was to the UFC, and these are all just stepping stones. So I wasn't always winning, and that's the beauty about the sport. It will break you down and make you make the changes that you need to do to make it in the sport. At one point, I was on a 3-fight losing streak. I was fighting, good guys, great talent from the regional area, just losing by decision. So everything I was doing was working, but I wasn't putting it all together. So after that, I made a decision to drop down to flyweight, because at the time I was fighting at bantamweight. So I dropped down to flyweight,
which is
57.
Yeah, okay.
So
and
I was
you
fighting
dropped down to 125. Oh, sorry, in pounds, what is it?
So I was 135,
135.
So 61 I was fighting at, and so I dropped down to 57, 125. So for my height, that just made the most sense. So I just trained for 4 months. I had a lot of family telling me maybe come back home, maybe go back to university, maybe this isn't for you. But I made a promise to myself. I got myself into this situation. I want to ride it out. I want to give it kind of one last push before I, pack it up and come back home. In my back of my mind, I didn't want to come back to New Zealand without nothing. I had to bring something home. So then, I changed. I just trained for 4 months, and then had my first fight at flyweight in Taiwan on Pro FC. Ended up getting a 9-second knockout. First punch, knocked the guy out from...
I've seen that one. For those who haven't seen that one, you need to go watch it.
So I knocked him out, the Korean boy, knocked him out, pretty much first punch. And then I fought on a cruise ship two weeks after that.
Yeah, that was a pretty wild one that I've
heard. So it came from Phuket to Malaysia, Malaysia to Phuket, and the fights were docked. Oh, so the cruise ship was docked at in the Phuket, so the boat wasn't moving. And then all my friends got to come on the boat that were from Tiger, and I was fighting a Filipino kid, and I knocked him out in 12 seconds.
Wow.
So, in a month's time, it was 30 seconds of work pretty much.
Man, that's like I think that's like one of the bucket list things, man, to fight on like a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to experience that shit.
First time ever it ever happened. So it was cool to be a part of, and then for 2 days after, we got to party on the boat, and everyone was going
it was
wild.
like a party boat or like a party cruise anyway, and
it was for a Toon Talk, which is a phone company in Malaysia.
Oh, which one, sorry?
Toon Talk.
Oh, Toon Talk. Okay.
You heard of it?
Nah, I think maybe they've got quite a few.
Yeah.
But they do some pretty wild stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like although it's Malaysia, like they're pretty wild.
Yeah.
And man, so you had that last 2 big wins, and then after that, you decided to move back to New Zealand, or
No. So in a space of a month, I had 2 wins. In the space of a year, I had 5 wins, all by first round knockout. So in that whole year, I was just fighting pretty much every second month. I fought in Guam on PXC, got another knockout there. That's where me and Alex were fighting, Alex Volkanovski. And then I fought on where else was it? I won a title in Perth on bragging rights, which is it's a smaller show, but I won the flyweight title there. And after that, that's when I got picked up for the Ultimate Fighter. So that was season 24.
Yeah, he went on to the Ultimate Fighter. That's another story in itself. It was pretty interesting. How was that whole experience, bro, on the Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal, but just coming from Thailand, just fighting so frequently, that set me up for what I needed to do for the Ultimate Fighter. You're fighting every week. You don't have your comforts of home. You don't have your main training partners or your coaches. So for me, I was more than ready. I was just ready to kind of put on a show. And
4 years of preparation already.
Yeah. So this was back in 2016. I was on Henry Cejudo's team. So Henry Cejudo and Joe Benavides were the coaches. And 16 guys living in one house. for 7 weeks. So if you won, you went to the next round, and if you lost, you still stay in the house, but you're not in the competition anymore. But you could get brought back in if there was injuries, or
the wild card.
Someone had to get replaced. Yeah. So I was the first one to fight. I was fighting this guy called Terrence Mitchell. Mitchell. He was from Alaska. 5'11", I think he was, which is tall for a flyweight.
Yeah, it is.
At the weigh-ins, he stuck his hand out like this to kind of show how long his reach was, and I didn't really think anything of it. I just pushed his hand down, and I kind of stepped back and said, bring that same energy tomorrow. Pretty much, I didn't say it, but I just said it with my face and
body language.
Body language, And came the next day. Dana White came to our locker room. He said, "Time to shine, boys. Don't leave in the hands of the judges. Go change your life." And I remember that, and then that just kind of switched my mindset into the going into this fight. I was just like, I'm just going into this with bad intentions. I want to show the world what I'm here to do and what I'm capable of. And made my walkout, no music, because in The Ultimate Fighter, it's all in a studio, just the two teams and the cameraman pretty much. Saw Dana White and all the coaches, but I was just tunnel vision. Walked into the ring, and then just pretty much ref said go, and right from there was just let the dog off the leash. I pretty much put 1-2 together, dropped him, and then he got back up and then knocked him out with a right hand. So it was all over in 30 seconds, and jumped on the cage. And at that time, the flyweights were getting a lot of slack for not finishing fights and not being exciting, and I guess this was the best way to start the season for the flyweight. So Dana White was on his feet. He was shocked, and he was, he was happy that I made a statement like that, and that kind of set the stage for the rest of the show. Everyone knew, because no one knew who I was back then. The Americans are quite naive, where they don't recognize anything outside of America,
of the
and
US.
that's just how they are. But once I did that, everyone, this guy's here to.
You kind of put yourself on notice.
Yeah, pretty much. And I had a target on my back after that. No one really took me lightly, so it's good. It's good pressure. I wanted them to recognize I'm not just here to kind of make up numbers. I'm here to win the title. So I ended up losing in the semis to Alexander Pantoja, and full credit to him. He did well, but I think a factor in that fight was me making flyweight constantly, because I had to make weight every time I fought. So I think my body was starting to shut down just because I didn't have the fight dietitian back then. I didn't.
Shout out to
Geordie.
Geordie.
I didn't have those what I know now. I was kind of just winging it, making flyweight, which it kind of hurt me because I didn't really know my body back then, and I was just kind of starving myself. So in that second fight, when I was in the semis, I was just fatigued. My body wasn't reacting like it would be usually, and I feel like that definitely played a factor. So
there's a lot of people who you'll see, like, in the long run, when they don't do it the right way, like, you'd see it in their performance as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good learning curve, and I'm sure me and Alexander Pantoja will fight in the long run. I think there's 5 of us now that are in the UFC from that season.
From the Ultimate Fighter
season.
So
I've only fought one of them so far, Brandon Moreno. But I'm sure I'm.
Man, that was that fight was like, bro, it was fireworks. I reposted the video. I was watching that fight actually, and man, just talking about your just jump fast forward to your last 3 fights, bro. Yeah. But it's been nothing short of like crazy, intense fireworks, and like, bro, I was like, when people watch, I don't know about other people, but when I'm watching it at home, like on my seat, bro, I'm like jumping and shouting, and like, it's wild, bro. It's
I
like,
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like it's and like it's awesome, bro. If it's anything, like, all your fights is like entertaining, bro, and it's like, it keeps you on the edge of your seat, bro. And even when you hear the commentaries from like DC, I think DC was doing one, and like the other guys, like, they're pretty shocked as well. And man, it was crazy. And looking at your fight with Brandon Moreno, I thought it was pretty close.
Yeah.
And looking at how now he's gonna be fighting for the title, which is this weekend.
This weekend,
yeah. This video will probably be out a little bit later, but. Yeah,
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video.
Yeah, watching the last fight that you had with Brendan, and I was like, man, you know, if he goes out this week and he gets the win, man, that could be a very possible rematch for you, man. And even that the latest one on was that UFC 253, yes. When Izzy was the main fight with Costa, and there was you and there was Shane as well.
And Brad,
and Brad as well. Man, 4 fights. That was a pretty amazing event. Like 4 fighters from City Kickboxing representing over there. And that fight was nothing short of spectacular as well.
Thanks, bro.
It was, bro, you just, you know, at the moment you picked up the guy and you were going to slam him, and then he started to, but he had like lanky.
Yeah, he's long.
Long bro, he had lanky hands, and I saw him slip the hands in, and I was like, oh, fuck. But the first round was pretty, I think, from my point of view, like watching from the TV, like it was going like strike for strike.
Yeah.
And it was pretty soon, like you could see it on his face, like he kind of realized it's not a good idea to go strike for strike with this guy. Like I could try something else, and which was why he started to bring in his jiu-jitsu and started to grapple with you and all that stuff. But you survived, man. And like not only that, like you made it look like you're comfortable. You know, it was a bit like a shitty situation, but like I felt like you were quite comfortable, so I wasn't like too worried.
Yeah.
But it's just the second one, it's getting caught, you know, with that choke there.
Yeah, well, when that elbow landed, so I hit him with the right hand that dropped him, and then he was wobbly, and then kind of 9 times out of 10, you know, that elbow misses, but it landed right on my temple.
Yeah.
I was in that grey area where I could have swarmed, and I should have gone faster, or I should have pulled back and let him kind of stand up. But it's just a fight game, you know. You can't predict these things.
It's a heat of the moment. Everything just goes so fast.
So far, and that was in the first 30 seconds of the fight, you know. So I was all clear-headed until I got hit with that elbow, and then it was all cloudy, you know. I wasn't thinking. I couldn't think at the time. I was just going off instinct, you know. When I think he had me in a go-go Pilata, so he wrapped my shoulder and my arm up. I wasn't all there then. I was just kind of going off instinct, and that was all muscle memory. So when I stood up and we got out of that ground position, my body I know what I wanted to do, and I knew that I needed to bridge the gap more, but my legs weren't keeping up with me, and when I wanted to throw, it wasn't as fast as I wanted it to. So you just got to trust your instincts and just keep swinging, and that was my mindset, you know. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out swinging. So not the best situation to be in, and getting caught in a guillotine, you know, it's just one of those things. I wasn't all there until I went backstage after the fight, and then because I didn't know what hit me. When that elbow landed, it was like a scene at a Rush Hour when Jackie Chan, when Chris Tucker gets hit with a kick, and he's like, which one hit me? It was like that, but I didn't know it was an elbow. Eugene had to tell me, and I had to watch the fight footage after, just be like, oh, it wasn't.
But what's impressive is, like, you know, that was like a clean, good elbow. But the fact that you still got up and went straight back into it.
It's just how I've always been brought up, you know. Once you're hurt, that's when you're the most dangerous. So I just had to keep swinging, and it was nice to get compensated for fight of the night, 50K bonus, especially with baby on the way.
A little bit of extra money in the pocket.
Exactly. But ultimately, you know, I want to run that fight back. I want that a rematch.
Definitely with both. I reckon
both guys.
Everyone's.
I want to avenge all my losses.
With everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, like especially I think the one with Moreno, that was a close fight. That was a really close fight. I think.
First round, I dropped him a few times. He adjusted well in the second, and he kept kicking my my right hand, which is a smart move. You know, I couldn't throw it as much, and he was timing it well. And in the third round, it was close as well. So if he does, like, I'm expecting him to do well this weekend. I know a lot of people are sleeping on him against Figueroa, since he's been so impressive in his last wins. But I think Moreno is good enough to stick it out, and tough enough to take shots from Figueroa and you know, go to the ground and be comfortable there as well. So don't be surprised if Moreno gets an upset. I can see it happening, and that will make my fight look a lot better as well.
Definitely.
So yeah, we'll get back on the win streak. I'm just about to sign another 4-fight deal, or another deal with the UFC, and we'll go from there. So 2021, I want to be active. I want to be busy, and this is where I start to make my run at the title. I want to build myself back up. I'm back in the gym now, working on all my holes that I've had, and building off my last fight. A lot of the positives to take away from it, but a lot of learning curves as well. And I'm sure next year, it'll be a full stack card of CKB. UFC can come back to Auckland as well when the crowds can, when the UFC want crowds again, and that'll make all the difference. It's different fighting in an empty stadium or a fight out.
Yeah, it kind of brings you back to when the amateur days or the smaller fight days. Less people could pretty much hear the other corner talking and all that sort of stuff.
In the back of your mind, everyone in the world's watching, especially if you're on the undercard of Izzy. That's what was in the back of my mind. I was like, no one's here, but I know everyone's watching back home. You could just feel it. But it definitely makes a difference having a crowd and like hometown advantage. And
yeah, do you feel that it kind of helps push you a little bit more as well, knowing that all those people are watching?
Yeah, definitely. When you're in the sport a long time, and it's such a small amount of time. 15 minutes is not long, but the lead up to the fight is what's long. 10 weeks of grinding, but when you go out and you make your walk out into the fight, all that little bit of support, it definitely helps, and it motivates you and gives you a bigger purpose of what you're doing. Not just doing it this for yourself, but you're doing it for your friends and your family and everyone that supports you back home, and everyone that kind of looks up to you and appreciates what you do, and you want to use that and harness that energy. And that's what's different about fighting without a crowd. You can't feed off the energy. So when I fought at UFC Auckland earlier this year, when pretty much one of the last
few fights before
that had a crowd, So UFC Auckland, that was my first time fighting in Auckland, in my hometown, in 5 years. One of my dreams was always to fight at Spark Arena. And to get a reception like I did, that's like fairy tales. To have 10,000 people just standing up, oh shit, now it's a party kind of thing. When my stong kicked in foyer and I walked out, I just had goosebumps, and I just knew that I wasn't losing that fight. I just couldn't. It's not with that kind of support.
There's no way this guy's gonna take away this moment from you.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
So when it all goes to plan, you feed off the energy, you hit them with hard shots, you defend the takedowns, and it was deafening. It was like you could the noise that you could just feel it, and then to get the win and get my hand raised, that was like bucket list ticked off. Winning in my hometown.
Definitely, and even I think on the commentary as well, they were saying like the cheering and the amount of support it's like the main event.
And it was at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, because they had to you had to be on the US broadcast timings. Just want to jump back a little bit into you were saying about like getting that bonus for the baby. Anyway, congratulations
thank you.
For the baby, and also for the engagement that happened recently, brother. I want to talk about that. How was that? Being a fighter, putting in being put into all this high pressure, situations. How did you handle that, brother? How did you do it?
More pressure doing that than fighting. making my UFC walkout. It was awesome. This year has been a difficult year. A lot of adversity, a lot of, I guess, self-reflection of where you want to be and what's your priorities. And when we found out we're having a baby and we got a boy on the way, I was in lockdown and in quarantine, and that's when I was like, I want to commit. I want to give my partner security, and it kind of, if one thing led to another, and so many blessings in my life, even though I didn't get a win, I'm winning in life. So that's when I was organizing. I was busy in quarantine, organizing a ring and getting her cousin to steal an old ring so I could get the sizing. And then we went
doing all that while in quarantine as well.
Yeah, and I was sorting out house viewings because we're trying to look for a house at the moment. So sorting out viewings, sorting out wedding rings, sorting out I got my clothing brand that I'm doing as well, KKF. So I was busy in quarantine. I wasn't just eating and passing time. I was
eating ice cream from Giapo, was it?
Yeah.
You're talking about your clothing brand KKF. Is that the one with Engage or it's a separate one?
So So Engage is doing a collab with my brand KKF. So KKF is something I've always been into. Fashion, being into streetwear. that the culture. So it's just something on the side, outside of fighting that I want to slowly build, and who knows, one day that might be my main main thing. So
you gotta build your brand while you have
exactly
the impact, right?
diversify your revenue, and so yeah, I want to slowly build into that. But I'm working with my mate Oni. He trains at our gym. He's been a great great person to kind of pick his brain, and he's kind of shed light on the industry, and it's cool to kind of get the behind the scenes look on how things work, and getting samples of different materials and different designs, and I'm proud to kind of put that next to my name, that what we've come up with. So it's only the start. We've got a lot more things in the future, and just kind of slowly work at it. But yeah, we've got a lot of things coming out 2021. So we're doing more collabs with Engage, more stuff with my own, and more stuff with Oni as well. So definitely be on the lookout.
Pretty exciting times, and definitely looking forward to all of this stuff, this good stuff that you're gonna put out. It's pretty cool. We've seen some of the stuff. For those of you who haven't seen, go check it out. There's some pretty cool stuff out already. But before we miss that one, so how did they so once you got all that sorted, you got the ring and everything, man, now actual day itself, how did it go down, brother? How did the proposal go down?
Yeah, so I went out to Kai Tai, that's where my partner's from, and I got the blessing from her dad the night before, and then the next day
that must have been
I was nervous. Not only that, because it was the first time we've met.
Oh, what, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
I was like, hey mate, I know it's the first time we've met, but can I get your blessing to
Man.
propose your daughter? He's like, of course, we're family now. So I was like,
imagine if he's quite a funny guy himself, and he just plays a prank on you and says
yeah, I was sweating, bro. I was so nervous, but it all worked out. And then the next day, because we were already away for a week, so we went to Hawke's Bay to see my family, and then we went all the way up to Kai Tai to see all her family, and the whole time I got the ring in my pocket, so not to lose that, and not for her to find it. That was half the battle, and then to get the blessing from her dad, and then the next day we drove all the way up to the Cape, which is the top of the North Island. We were there with a few of her cousins, and we wanted to see the sunrise. So we're there quite early. We left at like 5 a.m. just to get up to the top, and then the sun came out, and it was about 7:30. A lot of tourists were starting to meet up where the viewpoint is, which is where the lighthouse is. And I was trying to get my partner's attention, but she wasn't listening to me. She was like going off talking to her cousins, and they knew I was going to do the proposal, but they
didn't want to make it too obvious.
Yeah, they were trying to give me space, but then she kept walking off, and I was like, can you just listen to me? Like, I'm just trying to do, like, this is in the back of my mind, but and then more tourists started coming, and I was like, it's
pressure.
now or never. So
the live crowd coming.
Yeah. So eventually I got her attention, and dropped to a knee and popped the question, and she was in shock. I think the first thing she said was, "What the fuck?" She's like, "What? Is this real?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "No, you're joking." And then she looked around, and then everyone's looking to see, and I was like, "Come on, don't do this to me." But then she said yes, and then everyone started clapping, and it was an amazing day. We spent the rest of the day down at the beach with her family, and had a massive feed with her family. So it all worked out, and yeah, I'm glad I don't have to do it ever again.
There was a win there.
Exactly.
Well, especially when there's like heaps of people watching as well. Like, that is pressure.
Yeah,
pressure.
I put it on myself, but it all works out,
Definitely. And with the baby coming, have you guys figured out a name or not yet?
Nah, not yet. It's one of those moments where we want to wait until the baby's born and see.
Kind of look at the baby first.
See what it looks like and see if it flows. I want to. It might be a fight, it might not, whatever it wants to choose. But if it does, I want to make it flow with my last name, just so it's easy to kind of say,
Yeah, and when you pronounce it as well, which is what, a lot of people actually compliment you, like you have a really cool name. You hear like even DC was saying, I was listening to the Hawani show with, DC Hawani show, and they were saying like, about your name and how, that, like they were saying, is it actually your real name? Like,
So my full name is Kaifare. So
Kaifare,
yeah. So Kiwhare. But in a lot of people don't really know how to say this, say it a weird way. So it was just a lot easier saying, Kai. And Cara France is my last name. It's half my mum's last name and my dad's last name. So I've always had that. And so Kai Whare me, I was named after my uncle, and his name comes from a chief in Taranaki, and it's also a taniwha in the Manukau Harbour. So this name, when you carry it, it comes off a lot of
History.
and mana. So when you carry the name, you have to. It will guide you. So that's what we want to wait until the baby's born to kind of give it its name. We want to go traditional, give it a Māori name. But in saying that, we need to get the blessing from, if we want to use someone else's name, we have to get the blessing first before we name the baby. So it just takes time, and that's just the protocols you have to do when you
respect as well.
When you choose a Māori name, and you got to do it the right ways. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, that's so cool. Being, staying, not losing that culture. Which is like, a lot of times you see, as times go by, people just try to like forget about it or they leave that behind.
Yeah. But it's something I've always stayed true to, and especially, I'm not as present in my culture as I want to be, but that's just because of my lifestyle is so busy, and I know that's not an excuse, but I want to reconnect with more into my Māori culture and go back and learn more about it, and especially where I'm from in Hawke's Bay. My mum lives down there, and having my partner's grandparents, and just listening to their stories and picking their brains, and that's where you keep the you keep the history there, and that's where it lives on, and that's when it will go on to the next generation. So having a baby, we want to make sure that it doesn't lose touch where it's come from and where who it is, and that's a great process, because now that will teach me at the same time, and we can do it together. I can be on the same journey as my son, and
that's so cool, man.
Yeah, do it
together. Yeah, that's so awesome. Anyway, I want to jump back a little bit into training at City Kickboxing. When was it? When did you start? Like after that whole journey, when did you get to kickboxing? And could you share with us a little bit about like relationship you have with Eugene, who's the one of the coaches there, and like Doug, and maybe some of the other coaches.
Yeah, so I moved back to New Zealand 2016. I'd been on the Ultimate Fighter. I didn't get picked up for the UFC, which I was a little bit shocked as well, because I did get the only knockout on that season. Ended up going to Japan, fighting on Risen, which is pretty much the old Pride. Massive.
Yeah, it was a big promotion as well back then.
Yeah, that was the promotion. It was either Pride or UFC, and the UFC ended up buying Pride out, and now it's got a new name, which is Risen. And I fought on the New Year's show, so I was fighting a tough Japanese kid there in front of 30,000 people. Ended up losing. I lost a decision. It was a tough night. I got calf kicked. My calf's still sore to this day. Yeah, I got calf kicked the shit out of me, and it was a good learning curve. I needed that, and I was doing my camps out of Thailand still when that fight happened, and after that fight, I needed to make adjustments. I did a few things in that fight that I needed to go back to my basics and kind of drop my ego. In Thailand, I got to a point in my career where I was a bit complacent, where I was getting too comfortable, and I didn't have a head coach at that time that would kind of be on my case, and that's what I needed. So I trained with Eugene a little bit. He'd stopped over in Thailand with Israel when they were doing fights in China. So on their way back, they would stop in Thailand and train with us, and that's where I needed to be. I needed to be under him and just pick his brain and do what he was doing. And that's when I made the move after that back to New Zealand and started training at City Kickboxing. So first thing I said to Eugene, I said, how do I get back into the UFC? And he said, just turn up to training and the rest will take care of itself. So it took me 2 years to get back into the UFC. I got on a 5-fight win streak. I got a few knockouts in Melbourne and in China, where I was just pretty much fighting just to kind of campaign to get a bigger win streak. And then I finally made my UFC debut December 2018 in Adelaide. So a massive card. It was on the same fight night as Mark Hunt's last UFC fight. Tai Tuivasa was on the card against Junior Dos Santos and Tyson Pedro. I was the only fighter from CKB fighting. Ended up getting fired the night, and 50K bonus on my first UFC fight. So,
Yeah.
Fairy tale start to my career, and it was best decision ever. Moving back home and training under Eugene and at City Kickboxing. So that definitely put things in perspective for me, and realized, if I want to take it to this next level, I need to commit 100% to the sport. And that's what I did. And being homegrown again, taking all that knowledge I learned overseas and bringing it back home, and forming our own system at City Kickboxing. It's a massive. It's massive for the next generation, because now they see the blueprint of how to do it. Back then, we didn't really have a blueprint of how to get to UFC. It was all just kind of doing it on the fly. Exactly, yeah. Training overseas and doing it that way. But now you can do it homegrown and do it out of City Kickboxing, and not have to leave your friends and family. It was a good life lesson. I was quite shy growing up, and that taught me how to get out of my comfort zone and meet new people. But I've sooner or later learned that this is where I needed to be. So now we're the best gym in the world. We got ranked for 2019
best gym in the world.
Gym of the world. Eugene got coach of the year. And it's looking likely for both those things to happen this year. So it's just a true testament of what Doug and Eugene have created at our gym, and amazing atmosphere, the culture that they've created, and the team, the team that they've put together, that monitors itself. If you're the odd one out, if you're not you're putting everything into it, if you're going out on the weekends and not putting your best foot forward, you'll get called out. And if you come back to training, you'll get kind of straightened out, and then that kind of regulates itself. So it's a great place to be trained in, and to learn off all the guys. So much. Amazing minds to kind of pick from, and you can see why we're doing so well.
One of the other things as well is, at City Kickboxing, you have so many coaches as well, and one of the interesting ones is there is also a mental performance coach who works with some of you guys, and David Neath in particular. And man, he when I actually did the podcast with him, and when I talked to him, he actually talks very highly about yourself. And when did you approach David, or how did you get into the relationship? And could you how has it been since seeing him?
Yeah, so we linked up, I think it was last year. I wanted to get that 1% better, and I knew I was doing everything physically I could do. I was doing all my nutrition was on point, but I needed to train my mental, and it makes so much sense, doing that. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, can I pick your brain? And, I would love to work together. So he's been a massive help, just kind of zoning in and detaching from things that I guess will hurt you and will cloud your mind. And it just gives me more reassurance of what I'm doing, and making sure that we're taking care of, upstairs, as well as ticking off all the boxes, and having that championship mindset already. You don't just win the belt and become the champ. It's something you got to have, that you got to be doing daily before it, and
way before you even get to that stage itself.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's been a big help with just dealing with outside pressures of fighting, and having all the spotlight on you, and not getting I guess not shying away from it, and not using it. Using it to harness it and to work it with you. And he talks a lot about when you're stepping into the ring, you're turning into God mode or Superman mode. So you're not yourself. You're your
alter ego.
Yeah. So that's been a massive help when I fight in the UFC, and I make my walkout where I step into the cage and I realize this is just another day, just the same thing, another day. And I don't overthink it. I don't put it on a pedestal. I never have. The UFC, you think about the bright lights and all the people, and how many people are watching. But once you step into the ring and into the cage, you just realize it's just another day, just another cage. And it's something that we do all the time. So for me, that was a massive to kind of get that mental game going, and realizing, this is it's all strategic, and it's all mind games. You want to make sure that you're not overthinking it. And once you step in there it's all muscle memory. You don't have to think anymore. It's just you just know.
You've already
And,
put in all that work, and your body's kind of programmed
Yeah.
already.
and your mind just knows that what it needs to do. You don't have to give it reassurance, or you don't. There's no self doubt. You're just ready to go and ready to do the job. And sometimes it doesn't work out, but that's just a fight game. You pick yourself up and you move on to the next. You don't dwell on it.
You carry out your plan as you know, as best as you can,
Yeah.
and then kind of adapt and you know
Most
just
flexible.
adjust.
Yeah, exactly. Adjust and flexible.
Hey you, don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video.
Yeah, you know, one thing about you know that I experienced with like you know just talking to David is, you know, he's a character, you know, and he's just got like he's just this big, you know, guy with so much energy, and when he talks to you as well, like you just instantly feel it, you know, like and he just has a thing, you know, he's really good at what he does. And you know, obviously he's worked with a lot of top athletes, you know, like yourself, Izzy, and you know, professional golfers, basketballers, like even Junior Far as well, you know. And he works, and one thing I like about you know what he says is, I only work with the best. But that's, you know, sometimes some people might think that's arrogant, but they don't actually realize like when he says the best is the best version of yourself. You can be anyone, you can be doing anything. It's like he just wants you to be the best at whatever you're doing.
Exactly.
Which is so cool. A lot of respect for that guy. Anyway, moving on. I want to talk about the recent event that happened was you actually playing basketball for charity. A little bit of a jump into a different sport, and also you, if I'm not wrong, you actually auctioned off your glove from your last fight.
Yeah.
Man, that was pretty cool. And which went to the Starship Foundation. Oh, tell us about
So the
that.
kids' hospital. Yeah. So the Eugene approached me saying the Breakers are doing the Celebrity Slam. Do you want to be a part of it? I said, yeah, hell yeah, I'll do it. I used to play basketball when I was younger. Obviously a bit rusty, but he said, yeah, jump in. So the game was last week. Smallest on the court. But I knew what was to come, you know. I wasn't taking the training lightly. I was doing extras, playing a little bit of games, you know.
Yeah, so you do a bit of training
exactly,
as well.
yeah. But I used to play an intermediate. My mum was our coach, and I learned a few things back then. But you know, I haven't played in so long. So when I got back on the court, I was all rusty. You know, my jump shot looked horrible. My layups weren't going in. So I had to get that down, especially being, you know, the fastest on the court. You got to play like that. And when you know, those loose balls come out, you get lobbed the ball, you just got to run and catch it, and then get a quick layup or get a quick jump shot. So that was our game plan. So in training, that's what we were working, and then on game day, it was awesome to be down at Spark Arena. Last time I was there was UFC Auckland, so to be back down there, to be back down there for a full packed stadium, I think 8,000 people were there.
Yeah, that was quite a few people there.
Yeah, I was just buzzing out, just saying like, these guys have all come to watch us play basketball. Like, what the hell? I was way out of my comfort zone, but it was awesome. It wasn't too serious. Obviously, like we wanted to win, and we did win.
Always have that winning mindset, whatever the game is.
But it was cool though, because everyone's there on the same position. You know, no one's, you know, taking the game too serious. Where everyone, you know, from different backgrounds, you know, there's so many different people I grew up watching, you know, Carlos Spencer, Irene Van Dyke, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, his brother Johnny, Greg Murphy. So there's so many people that like amazing people on the court, and just to be on there with them, and I wasn't too bad. I got 8 points in, and I got 1 3-pointer. So that was crazy. But I have massive respect for what the basketball players do. You know, the Breakers, Tom Abercrombie, Ty Webster, these guys do it so effortlessly in the air. You know, they jump up like nothing, and they float, and
they make it look too easy.
Yeah, I know, right? It's not fair.
Yeah, I know.
But no, it was awesome to be there, and we raised $600,000 for Starship.
Wow,
so
that's quite a bit. That's awesome.
Yeah, so massive.
Did you auction off your glove, like the gloves separately, or was that together with that thing? You put it up.
So everyone that was a part of the game auctioned off something that they wanted to give. So I think Liam Neeson, All Black, he auctioned off one of his jerseys from when they won the World Cup.
Wow.
You know, people auction off shoes. I gave my shoes, my court-worn shoes that I played in the game with, one of the helpers, the Mahi man. Shout out to Mark.
Yeah,
I gave
I
it
saw
to him
that.
after the game, so he was much appreciated. I think he's going to come down to the gym as well, have a watch with us. But no, it was just cool to just do something positive and to end the year, on the right foot, and just to have crowds again and be there with your friends and family. It was an awesome event, and I'm sure they're going to do it again. So if they want to do it again, I'd love to be a part of it.
Kai, I want to ask, like, you've obviously participated in so many events, be it fighting or not fighting.
Yeah.
I want to know, like, I want to ask you, like, which has been the most, like, the biggest event to you that has the most impact, or it's just the best,
Like out of fighting.
yeah, or whichever, or fighting or non-fighting, or what has been like that best event or moment that you've like taken part of?
Probably UFC Auckland was definitely one of the massive highlight, as well as my UFC debut, just because it was my first fight. So much build up, 10 years of working towards this one moment. So they're both up there, UFC Auckland, UFC Adelaide, and living in Thailand. Probably when I fought after I lost my fight in Risen, I fought in Melbourne on the show called AFC. I was fighting a Brazilian that we took on short notice. I weighed in at 63. So he took the fight at a catch weight. I didn't have to cut weight. I weighed in at 63. He cut from about 72 in a week down to 63. So he's massive, black belt, a lot bigger than me, more fights than me. But I knew he would get tired, and that's what our game plan was, to get him tired, and we'll eventually put him away. And that's what happened in the first 2 rounds. It was real close, back and forth. Could have gone either way. And the 3rd round, we could see he was getting tired, and he was a southpaw. Eugene said, just stop headhunting, go for the chest. The chest will always be there. And I set up my right hand with a jab to the body. And then the second one, I went jab to the body, and I came right up to the chest and knocked him out cold with a right hand. And that pretty much, because that was me coming off after a loss and just having a taste of the UFC, but not getting there, and then me being back home, and that solidified making the right choice, coming back home and doing it the right way, and training out of City Kickboxing under Eugene. And when I jumped up on the cage and then jumped over it and then hugged everyone, that meant the world to me, just knowing that it all worked out. And I'm still, here to make a run for the UFC. So that was a massive confidence booster for me. Yeah.
Brother, so from here, what are your future plans now?
Future plans for 2021. Obviously, got a baby on the way, so that's one of my priorities. That is my
Gonna
priority.
be very busy.
Busy. A lot of, like you were saying before, no sleep. It's gonna be power napping all the time for me now. But no, it's gonna be a busy year for me. I want to fight a few times next year. I want to get back, in the win column and keep putting on exciting fights. I want that to be one of my legacies. Not just winning, but when people see my name, be like, oh, he always came to fight. He always put on a show, and that's what I want to be known for as well. And as well as that, when he fights, you could see his heart always. Like even when he was out down on the scorecards or hurt, he showed his heart. So, and then for next year, it's something that I've always been big on. Doing talking, so motivational speaking, as well as talking to schools. Especially our younger generation. I want to give them, I want to be the light that they need sometimes. To show them that you can overcome adversity. Coming from being bullied in high school and now doing this as my full-time job and fighting in the UFC, fighting the best in the world. Not letting a loss, deter you from what you want to do and where you want to be. Just using it as fuel for the next one, and just picking yourself back up and learning from it, and eventually overcoming those obstacles. So I want to do more guest speaking next year.
Wow, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's the, you have a lot of the, well, I think maybe you do realize, but there's a lot of people who, a younger generation who look up to you, and being able to like stay connected and make that connection and go out there and talk to them, it's going to mean a lot to a lot of these kids, and like you never know, the guy who might be the next biggest thing might be someone that you actually help to push and talk to, So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's something that's been it's always been something I've wanted to get into, being from my family all being from Hawke's Bay, smaller regions, and no place is too small, and no dream's too big. So if you want it to happen, then you can make it happen. And there's no limits, sky is the limit, and I'm just kind of living proof of that. And then with my clothing brand as well, I want to put out more quality products, more stuff that I'm proud of, and just kind of see where all that goes. I want to get more involved, as well as get a whole collection going, not just one pieces and one kind of shirt when I fight. I want to put like a whole range out. So yeah, exciting times for stuff outside of fighting, and even stuff in the cage. Just about to sign that new contract, and so many exciting things happening at City Kickboxing, with New Zealand martial arts in general and combat sports in New Zealand. So many things are happening, with the junior fight happening next year. Getting rebooked.
Yeah, it was actually supposed to be today. Initially, man, 3, and then it got changed to tomorrow, and then unfortunately, due to some medical issues, it's been pushed forward again. But that's one big fight that we're all looking forward to.
And the whole undercard. So many big names will be on that, and names to look out for, Hemi and Wild Boy, Gina. So it's awesome to see, not just one person's, making an impact. It's the whole fight community in New Zealand. So it's amazing to see.
That's awesome. The last one before we go, brother. Wise, which is the section of wise words from the wise men, which is kind of what David Neef started. So, if you can give any advice to people who are watching, listening to this, what would it be, brother?
Advice for anyone that wants to take up martial arts, or doesn't know how to go about it. Once you walk, the first challenge that you need to overcome is just walking through those doors. Once you do that, everything else is a lot easier. And you don't want to put on the side, say, I'll get fit first before I want to start martial arts or start training. We've heard all those excuses. Just turn up to training, and I promise you it will change your life. And it's changed our lives. Combat sports is a part of us, and we do it every day, and we're definitely privileged to be able to do this. And if your goal is not to be in the UFC, it doesn't have to be. It can just be to be better than yesterday. So if that's what you want to do, just don't just trust yourself and do it for yourself. Don't do it for anyone else. And believe me, you'll change your life.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Pretty good words there. Very good advice for people who are still struggling with that. That very first, making that first step. And getting into it. It's always a big challenge. It's always a frightening one, but just got to put that leg in, and
exactly.
It'll kind of just work. Anyway, before we go, do you have any shout outs to give to anyone, or any messages?
Shout out to all the boys at City Kickboxing.
Yeah, the boys.
Everyone that supported me, everyone that's on the same journey as all of us. We appreciate all of it, and we'll be back in the ring soon.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, we close to about hour over. Yeah. So I think we can wrap it up over here. Kai, thank you very much for your time and doing the podcast with me today. And man, I'm definitely looking forward to watching you fight, and watching the stuff that you're going to do outside the ring as well. And we're always going to be supporting you, brother, in whatever that you do, and I hope to see you do big things, man. All right, that's it for us today, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Thank you for watching this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and I'll see you on the next one.